Republican speakers of the House tend to wrap
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kind for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Welcome aboard. In the house, beating out everybody today was AVQ El Señor Michael Rudden from Brooklyn, New York. We also have Patrick Bagner says meow from Houston, Texas. And in the house, we also have from the Substack chat. Remember, I missed the first few dozen, but we have Susan Jagoda, Nancy Fagans, Gail Barlow, Dr. Liquid Words, Donna East, Sheila K, VLT, Beatrice, Richard Hogan, MD, PhD, DBA, love that. Inside the Rapper, Laura Gomez, and Do You Lie? How you doing? Do You Lie? Hope everybody's doing just fine. We're going to have a great program for you today. Beatrice says, joining from Royal Caribbean, Wonder of the Seas, headed towards St. Martin. I am touched. You are in the middle of the Gulf. I imagine you're still in the Gulf, Beatrice. You're in the middle of the Gulf and you're listening to Politics Done Right. Remember to tell folks on that boat that there is a program they need to watch, Politics Done Right. Cynthia Verdell says, hello, everyone. Bruce Pollard is in the house and he says, and the Olad man here. I imagine you're still in Alaska, Bruce, or are you back? Are you back from Alaska? Adam W. has joined us as well. Welcome, my peeps. How's everybody doing? I trust everybody's doing fine. From Michael Rudnick, CBS News, Gaza hospital boss says 21 children died of malnutrition, starvation, over the last 3 days as Israel faces mounting pressure to end the Gaza war. A hospital director says the Palestinians in enclave in facing alarming numbers of deaths from starvation. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned Monday evening that the lifelines keeping people alive are collapsing in Gaza and that there are growing reports of children and adults exhibit symptoms of malnutrition. I'm going to say something controversial. I think it is time for our Israeli supporters, including AIPAC, to stop Netanyahu from murdering, to stop Netanyahu from committing war crimes, to stop Netanyahu from being the war criminal that he is. I think it is time for them, AIPAC, who's funding a whole lot of the Congress people that are supporting the purchase of the bombs from the military industrial complex to genocide those folks in Gaza. It is time for them to speak up. Hello, Adam W. Thank you. And Alex Goegberto, he says. Kathy Walker, welcome aboard. As well, we want to welcome Lisa Blair from Atlanta, Georgia. Bruce, you didn't tell me if you're back in town or you're still in Alaska. Okay, second item from Michael. I like the archive bypass that you use, Michael. Al Jazeera, UN number of aid seekers killed by Israel in Gaza tops 1,000. Think about that. 1,000, the amount of aid seekers that have been killed by Israel. At least 80 children are among 101 Palestinians who have died of starvation or malnutrition in Gaza since the war erupted, according to the Enclave's hospital. UN Human Rights Office spokesperson Thamsen Al-Khitan told the AFP news agency, stating the victims had been killed by the Israeli military. As of July 21st, we have recorded 1,054 people killed in Gaza while trying to get food. 766 of them were killed in the vicinity of Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, GHF sites, and 288 near UN and other humanitarian organizations. This is genocide. They want it to be so uncomfortable to stay that the people decide to just leave, and it becomes Trump and Netanyahu's Riviera. Netanyahu, the war criminal, Donald Trump, the thug. All right. Michael Rudden says the House of Representatives is leaving Washington a day early for its 5-week August recess after tensions erupted over efforts to force release of the. I am not talking about that anymore. I'm going to tell you what I told one of my cohorts at WBAI in New York, the Pacifica station in New York. Let me tell you what I think should happen. Because we have important things to take care. I am not saying those issues with young girls is not important, but it's almost 20 years old. And if it's 20 years old, that means, and by the way, and those papers have been through several administrations. That means any one of those administrations could have done something about it and haven't. We need to concentrate on issues right now that are affecting the matter, that are affecting the working class, that are affecting the middle class. I don't care about Trump. Look, Trump is a degenerate that has been elected several times by the people in the United States, by those who decided they couldn't elect a woman, by those who decided they couldn't elect a black woman, by those who decided they could elect Trump but couldn't make the leap to do otherwise and stayed home. Our country is paying the price for, one, its prejudice, two, both its sexism and its racism, and three, well, should have put those together as one, and also the adaptation to misinformation. And we now have to clean it up. We now have to clean it up. And talking about that word, I'm going to try my best not to mention again, isn't going to do it. Because here's what's going to happen with Republicans who are very good marketers. They're great marketing. Democrats are horrendous marketers. They are great marketers. They know how to fill. Here's what they're going to say. As Democrats persecuted Donald Trump on 20-year-old incidents that neither Obama or neither Obama or Biden took care of, something that's been in the Justice Department all this time. Now they're spending their time on it instead of taking care of you, the middle class. No. And I don't want to hear about we can chew gum and we can eat and we can walk and chew gum at the same time. That's not the point. Yes, but for every time we dedicate every chew that we make on the gum, we're not we're not walking in sync. Because I tell you what, the mainstream media only knows how to do one thing at a time, concentrate on one thing at a time. And if they're talking about that issue, that means they're not talking about the bad things the bad bill is doing. They're not talking about the bad things the rescission is doing. So if you're watching TV and they're talking about it, these are things that Donald Trump did. It's not going to reflect on congressmen and senators or whatever. We already know Donald Trump is an evil being. There's nothing that's going to change all of us who knows that he's an evil being, or change any person who elected him knowing he was an evil being. So let's get with the program and stop speaking about that other issue. And we need to tell our politicians to stop talking about that other issue. I know there are a lot of people that are throwing spires at me. Oh, no, we need to dirty him up and we can do two things at the same time. No, we can't. We can barely do one thing at a time. Democrats, that is. We can barely stay on consistent messaging. We can barely stay on consistent messaging. Right now, Donald Trump is getting ready to start yet another trend. Obama committed treason for the 2016 election because of the Russiagate farce. And you know what? Watch how the mainstream media actually gives some legs to that. And you want to talk about the other issues as well? We need to be singularly focused on what the big bad bill has taken away from the MAGA, has taken away from the middle class, has taken away from the poor. We have to be singularly concentrated on those issues. And I know you want the salacious thing about what he did. I don't care. He's a dirty old bastard. We know that. We know that. Let's stop about what makes us feel good, because that feel good feeling is going to last a tiny inch. But the damage that he's doing to us all is with us for a lifetime. The amount of people that are going to die when they lose their Medicaid is going to be enormous, because America suffers in silence. And as they're suffering in silence, they're getting sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker. So brothers and sisters, focus. And let's make sure that the people we hang with focus. And let's make sure that our politicians focus. It's all about the big bad bill. All right. Let's have a little bit of fun. All right. The first piece is a fun piece. Not really. It's a fun piece. This is sort of weird, and that's why I picked it up, because I wanted to bring some levity. It's weird. House Speaker Johnson and his son watches over each other to ensure they don't consume, I guess, too much porn or something. Can you believe that coming from? Can you believe that? Check this out. This was on. Check this out.
Republican speakers of the House tend to wrap themselves in an indignant self-righteousness that was invented by the first Republican speaker of most Americans' lifetimes, Newt Gingrich. The current Republican Speaker, Mike Johnson, has taken indignant self-righteousness to another level. Divine self-righteousness. No Speaker of the House has ever wrapped himself in more publicly professed religiosity than Mike Johnson of Louisiana, who wants you to know that he and his high school son entered into a sanctified contract to, according to Rolling Stone, monitor each other's porn intake.
It scans, you obviously opt into it, but it scans all the activity on your phone or your devices, your laptop, tablet, what have you. We do all of it. And then it sends a report to your accountability partner. So my accountability partner right now is Jack, my son, right? And so he's 17. So he and I get a report of all the things that are on our phones or all of our devices once a week. If anything objectionable comes up, your accountability partner gets an immediate notice. I'm proud to tell you my son he's got a clean slate.
Good for Jack. Now, I don't want to make too much of this, and I offer no interpretation of this, but I did notice, as that statement kept going, which I've edited there, but I did notice that Mike Johnson did not say that he also has a clean slate. Now, I'm sure he meant to say that, but it's interesting that he didn't.
Is that funny or what? These guys are monitoring each other's internet use, etc., in case one of them go look at some porn. And the other one is going to call him up probably and say, "Hey, Dad, I think you're looking at too much porn today." Well, Jack, not because you have a clean record should I have one. I just thought when I saw it last night on O'Donnell, I was like, this can't be real. I mean, talking about could it be real? I couldn't believe it. Anyway, I just thought I might bring that to you guys for a little chuckle. If it gave anybody a little chuckle like it did me, give me a smiley face or something. But I thought, yeah, we're serious all the time. Let's do something that isn't all that serious. So I did that, right? I said, let's do something that's not all that serious. But the other subject I want to talk about is, let me first bring the article I want to talk about up. And the title of that article, before I get to the article, Tom Zarnik is in the room. Our resident poet laureate is in the room. And when Mr. Zarnik has a new limerick, I can't help but read it. So he just put a limerick in the chat, and I'm about to pick it up and put it into my notepad because I can't read it easily from the chat. And remember, I read all these things from Brother Zarnik on the first shot. So if I mess up, I didn't practice. Anyway, from our poet laureate, Mr. Zarnik, it goes like this. A poem to the tune of Home, Home on the Range. Gnome is deranged, shoots puppies and goats that are tame. She seldom makes sense, even less than Mike Pence, like to dress up in costume so strange. Gnome is quite cruel. She'll ignore any laws that's a rule, for Christ is a killer, as bad as Steve Miller. If you dare to object, you're a fool. Gnome wears a hard frown, hates people with skin that is brown. If you only speak English, you're sure to soon vanish when ice goons come to your town. Gnome has no heart. She's made up to look like a tart. On Trump's Nazi team, she's a mean fascist queen. dominatrix who cosplays her part. Gnome is so tough. Thinks she's got the right stuff. If you call her at FEMA and plead that we need ya, she'll say, here's a few bucks, that's enough. Gnome's a disgrace. Poor migrants she loves ICE to chase. She'll send them to jail with no due process or bail. Though to scud us, you have a great case. It's another good one, Tom Zarnik. That is brought to you courtesy of Tom Zarnik, our resident poet laureate. All right, Adam W said David Pacman said it would be it should be looked at as a potential national security threat, aside from the fact that it's just plain weird beyond weird. It is very weird. And welcome Sandra Dingler and Wendy Bouchier. Cynthia Verdell says that's just weird, and I don't believe him. He is the worst speaker ever. Cynthia Verdell says, whoa, Zarnik, that was great. All right, here now comes the serious part of the program, real serious. How can the Dems win back the working class? And I'm going to go with this document here from Sean Mason on from inequality.org. He posted this on Common Dreams, and it goes like this. The Democratic Party has significant work to do if it hopes to bounce back from its 2024 electoral defeat. Making inroads with the working class is the only way possible, and a new report from the Center for Working Class Politics at Jacobin shows the economic populism is the best path to bring them back into the party. And if you doubt it, that is why Mandami did so well, and not just one, but won in a landslide. The Democratic Party lost big in 2024, badly enough to raise the question, where are the votes they need to win going to come from now, especially in purple states and districts? Major demographic groups, some of which are mainstays of the Democratic Party in the past, swung to the GOP, especially Latino men and even a significant number of black men. Let me point out something that is important. Latino men that went for Donald Trump in their what should I say, proximity to Trumpness, thought that they were immune to what we call their Latinidad. Latinidad is a concept of it's Latinity, if you want to kind of transpose that into English. But what they're finding out is, as ICE is having to arrest 3,000 to 7,000 people every day, their Latinidad that supported Donald Trump is actually not an asset, because the thugs that are picking them up, some of the actual thugs that are picking up these people off the streets, and I find this amazing, right? The people that are effecting pain on our Latino brothers and sisters, many of them are Latino and black. And I'm sitting down there and watching, and I'm saying, just amazing. Amazing. And again, amazing. Now, if you understand the concept of policing, if you understand the concept of, and I don't want to offend anybody, but the house N, you understand that the people that would best that you can have in a white supremacist society, the people that best will work for you and do the job to get those other people, in fact, are the people that themselves have been the ones oppressed. That's why, if you remember in Tennessee, I think it was Memphis, had you ever seen a beating as bad as what that young black kid got in Memphis from those black officers? Had you ever seen a beating like that? I mean, I am sorry, but it actually made the guy who put his knees on the brother's neck in Minneapolis look a bit humane compared to the beating, the gall, the blood, the guts that you saw. And that's one thing folks have to learn. When the oppressed becomes the firearm of the oppressor, they have something to show. They want to show, I'll do it. I'll do it. It's a shame, but it is not at all surprising. By the time the 2024 election, the Democratic Party had firmly committed to its strategy of appealing to suburban moderates at the cost of blue collar workers. Back in 2016, Senator Chuck Schumer famously said, and I want you guys to listen to the disregard that the Democratic establishment has for many in the working class. Because I tell you what, I believe this is disqualifying for Schumer. This statement is disqualifying for Schumer. Here's what he said. For every blue collar Democrat we lose in Western Pennsylvania, we will pick up 2 moderate Republicans in the suburbs in Philadelphia, and you can repeat that in Ohio and Illinois and Wisconsin. What? Even if that were true, let's say that were true. How the hell does the Democratic Party talk about, I am okay with losing a working class person because I'm going to pick up 3 suburban votes for every one? It's not true, and he had to eat his words. But how can a leader in the Democratic Party make a statement like that? We support the working class. We support the people who are out there making money for a living. Or rather, working for a living is what I should say. Those are the people that in the stock market, they move money for a living. They don't produce anything. They don't do anything. Chuck Schumer saying that should be disqualifying. Let me ask those of you in the chat, and tell me if I am missing something here. Don't you find that statement disqualifying? How dare you disregard the people that the Democratic Party has always been based on? Those people that go out there and work every day. How dare him? Okay? Fast forward to 2025, and the Democratic Party's option for remaining competitive in swing districts seem more limited than ever. Is it too late for the party to turn back to the blue-collar voters it left behind years ago? It's not too late because people are not going to vote party if you teach them how to vote issues and stop triangulating. Everybody likes to use Clinton as an example of Clinton triangulated. Clinton did a lot of triangulation to win, which is true. But Clinton never won 50% of the vote. I want folks to realize that the magic of Clinton was not the magic of Obama. Obama won over 50% of the vote every time that he won, and by substantial margins. And not only did he do that, he did that at a time when it was unlikely for a black candidate to win. The country wasn't ready for it, but Obama did it. And why did he do it? Because Obama sounded like Mam Danny, or I should say Mam Danny sounded like or sounds like Obama. He's going out there. He's talking to people. Obama came into my red district, and he had Republicans having Obama parties for him that I went to. I would go to these households fully Republicans. I would be like, my God, when this stuff caves, it's going to cave. Because, again, that's what he did. Obama spoke to everybody. Obama made everybody feel, and I'm not talking about Obama, the president, I'm talking about Obama, the 2008 warrior. He spoke to everybody, everybody. And he was progressive. He wanted the policies that we supported. Same thing that you hear out of Mandami's mouth. Okay? And what is the Democratic Party doing right now? Running from Mandami? Schumer and the governor and Hakeem Jeffrey not endorsing him. I think all of them should pay the price for going against the will of New Yorkers. New Yorkers said they wanted Mamdani, not by a little bit, but by a bunch. But these guys think they know better. Hello, Paul Fleming. Welcome from Atlanta, Georgia. They think they know better. All right. Our report, which analyzes responses to 128 survey questions from gold standard academic surveys, find that championing progressive economic policies can reverse the exodus of blue-collar workers from the party. It can also help us understand why the policies resonate most with working class voters. You think? I went to Netroots in 2012, I think it was, maybe 2013. And it was Elizabeth Warren come over there, and Elizabeth Warren is on stage. And Elizabeth Warren told us, we need to go out there and be bold. She was right. She said, look at these numbers. Every progressive value, child care, Medicare for all, basic income, you name every single progressive policy. It was the lowest one was like 65% approval by all Americans. And Democrats don't run on that. It just tells you that a large percentage of their establishment Democrats are owned by the corporations, because they sure don't want that. They sure don't want that. So again, it's not about being or running to the center. For all of those who, you got to run to the center. To the center for what? What are you offering from the center? Please tell me. You know, most Americans are on TV are middle class, upper middle class, right? So all the information you get on TV on these shows are skewed towards people who have privilege, right? In other words, you have, you have enough, and if you get hit a little, it's no big deal. So it's easy to say Mandami is some left-wing nut if, as far as you're concerned, things are okay. The middle seems fine. What is the middle going to do for all those high-price apartments? What is the middle going to do for the people looking for a job? What is the middle going to do for those trying to get a home? What is the middle going to do for those that are choking on student loans? What is the middle going to do for them? What is there in the middle for them? I can tell you what's in the progressive space for them. We've got student loan forgiveness. People say, well, that's a giveaway. No, it's not. That student loan forgiveness is going to generate so much economic activity that in the long run, it's better for the economy at large. And for those who say, well, I didn't get student debt. Well, you know what? I don't use an airport runway. I pay for it. We all pay for different things in a society that we don't necessarily take advantage of, use, or whatever. It is about the benefit of the society at large. So like I said, the middle has nothing to offer to 67% of Americans. 23% of Americans are doing fine. And that's a lot of people. 23% of Americans are probably near 70 million people. That's a lot of people. You can have a sub-economy that makes it look great, where the other 67% are serving that sub-economy, and that sub-economy looks great. It's what we have. If you're in Houston, go to the Galleria and all the restaurants on South Post Oak and all these other places, and these restaurants are filled with people, and it looks good. And you go into that restaurant, it's like, oh, things must be good, and you have waiters and everybody's doing, looks like they're doing fine. But then you drive into the city, and you go into Studewood, and you go into South Park, or you go into to Little Latino Land and all these other places, and people are in dire straits. The majority of people are doing poorly. But there are so many that are doing fine, 23%. And those are the people that control TV. Those are people that control the newspapers. Those are people that do all these things. You can go ahead and miss that. You can miss where the pain really is. Okay? All right, I'm going to be finished with this article in a minute. I'm not going to do the whole thing. 2 key findings prove the potential of leaning more heavily into economic populism. First, contrary to what many might expect, the working class has become both much more progressive on economic issues and less conservative on social issues in recent decades, from abortion and gun control to gay rights and views on racial inequality. The working class today is, if anything, more progressive than the working class who helped elect Barack Obama. And again, don't mix up a loud MAGA. The MAGA is very loud. MAGA is extraordinarily loud. But as loud as they are, they don't make up the majority of us. Remember, the 80-something, the 33%, the 34% of Americans that didn't vote, they're not MAGA. They are mostly progressive, but they didn't vote. So let's get these numbers straight. All right, what keeps this leftward shift from being a common part of narratives that describe the working class, however, is the upper and middle classes have moved left at an even faster rate over the same time period, making it seem like working class voters have become more conservative. No, they haven't. That part I don't know if I completely agree with, but I hear you. Cynthia Verdell says, MAGA is loud and poor. I think that's about describes it. Take a look at them and take a look at the level of discourse when you talk to them. The level of discourse is, well, you know what I'm going to say. Second, relative to the middle and upper classes, economic populist policies resonate more with working class voters, while socially progressive policies resonate less. So that's right. That's why the Republicans like to use things like bathroom bill and trans and all of that, because that can take your eye off of the ball. The message that of this thing that we're trying to attack Trump on now takes the message off the ball, take the eyes off the ball, right? Our analysis challenges off repeated stereotypes about the supposed conservative drift of the working class. For example, there are many who seem certain that the economic policies that helped propel Zoran Mandami to victory in New York's recent Democratic mayoral primary would be disastrous outside of the city bubble. That conventional wisdom doesn't hold up in Poland. For example, we found that about 1 out of 5 working class people who voted for President Donald Trump in 2020 also favored a 4-policy package that included increasing income taxes on millionaires, federal spending on public schools, federal spending on Social Security, and federal spending on minimum wage. Even more surprising, support for a millionaire's tax, part of Mandami's campaign, but not his challenger Andrew Cuomo's, was 44% among working class 2020 Trump voters. This is only an example, but we have identified a few Democrats can appeal to working class voters without sacrificing the policies we support. I love Jim Hightower. He's a friend of mine as well. Every now and then I see him at some one of our conventions. All right, our analysis shows that winning back working class votes from the GOP is still possible. And doing so does not require abandoning the bedrock principles of the Democratic Party by championing regressive social policies. I tell you what, I hope you guys saw that interview between Tallarico and Joe Rogan. In fact, I should probably play that, because if you listen to Tallarico with Joe Rogan, that is exactly we're supposed to be in Tellurico. Tellurico doesn't come over like a flaming liberal, but guess what? He actually, believe it or not, is. Let's see if I can find it. Tellurico. What's the other guy? Joe Rogan. Let me see if I can find that, because I think this is about the time to tell the Democratic Party what they should be. I think I found it. Let's see if this is it. Uh, okay, that's not the one. Let's see if I can find one. Para ver. It's one of these here. Purple, one of these here. Joe Rogan wants more people like the Democratic Party. Okay, let's see if this is it here.
What are your aspirations politically outside of?
Okay, that's not it. I'm coming to you with it right now, guys. I'm coming to you right now with it. I'm going to try at least to come with you with it, because I think I have the one. I think this may be it here. I think this may be it. Let's see if this is it.
But I grew up in a tradition that cherished the separation of church and state, not just because it protects the church or protects democracy, but it is what allows this this democracy to happen, where we can all have different faith traditions and live together in peace. And so any attempt to erode that boundary, I feel like I have a special obligation to speak out against it. And so I told my colleagues that I thought the bill was unconstitutional, I thought the bill was un-American, but I went one step further and I said I thought the bill was unchristian, which again probably sounds weird to people, but in all of Jesus' teachings, he's always focused on the outsider, the outcast, the person who's left out or the person who's different. And so as a Christian, I think my concern is for the Muslim kid and the Jewish kid, the Hindu kid, the atheist kid who's sitting in a classroom, who now has a poster on the wall forced by the government that says, you know, your religion is inferior or you're not welcome here. And I just think if Jesus saw that, he would weep for those students and would demand that we love them as ourselves. And so that's why I kind of spoke out against the bill on theological grounds, not just constitutional grounds.
That's not the one, but I thought that one was just as important. This guy is actually going to, I think, seminary school or something like that. Let me try
of powerful people, you know, emperors, billionaires.
That's not it either.
Why are you a Democrat?
Well, my mother, so I told you I was born to a single mom. She left home at 19. She moved up to Austin. She met my birth father, who was a high school dropout, had a drinking problem. There was one night he had too much drink and got violent again. And that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. And Mom, she took on double duty at the hotel, fought for me at every instance, even when it was her own physical safety was at risk. You know, she could look over at the Texas Capitol and she saw Texas Democrats, people who fought for the little guy, who were forgotten and left behind. That was the classic Democratic Party. And so I remember when I guess I was maybe kindergarten, and I asked my mom what we were, and she was like, we're Democrats because Democrats fight for the people. I don't know how much our party is still true to that, but I do know that that's our historical legacy. I think we're at our best when we do that today. We're at our worst when we stray from that.
I would agree with that.
But that's why I'm a Democrat and why I hope the party.
Right, and there is nothing that is centrist about that. There's nothing centrist about that. What that is showing is that is what we believe in. As whoever called themselves a Democrat, that's what we believe in. I don't know why that they had that music in there. I hope they didn't put that in there to kind of strike it or whatever, but we'll see. I'll probably try to clean that out later on. Let's see what we got here on the thing. Cynthia Verdell says, let me back up before that. Mandami is a natural born leader. He cares about people and goes out to meet them. Exactly. Adam W. says, their legacy wiped out, but all the good they've done has been flushed by MAGA. I don't quite know what you're talking about there, Adam. I'll have to look up a little further, I guess. Suzanne Jagoda says, Democrats joined the corporation class under Clinton. Yep, it was called the New Wave, or I forgot what the Democratic, I can't remember what it was called. But it was a bad thing, and it was a triangulation. But here's the worst part about it. Everybody gave Clinton a whole lot of kudos. He never won 50% of the vote. Let's all remember that. All right, let's see. Susan Jagoda said, no, that's so nice. Adam W says, do you lie? Says, I'm in Texas, and my concern remain in Texas. Could care less of whom is mayor of New York. And look, that's not the reason we bring up Mandami. Mandami has national implications because what he is shown, because he didn't just what he's shown is that Americans are yearning for something. This is a guy that in February, his approval rating or his race, not approval rating, but he was at 0 in the polls for the mayoral race. I repeat, he was at virtually 0 in February. And he came out and he worked his butt off and he came and he found the message that brought him a landslide in New York. After it was all done, with all those candidates, he won by 56. He won 56% of the vote. Let's remember that. Okay? Do You Lie also said, well, Cynthia Verdell says, the mindset is that I got mine, so don't care about anything else. Yeah, let me give an example of that. Yesterday, I got invited onto and this is really an honor, right? I know this year, I think October 13 is the 13th year anniversary of the Million Men's March, and one of the leaders in that group sent me a Zoom invitation to join the planning committee, or I shouldn't say planning committee. It's more like the convening committee for putting that together, the 30th anniversary. And we're kind of brainstorming and talking about several issues on that call, on that Zoom. And what I first of all, I came up and I pointed out that we needed to concentrate on what Gen Z is doing, Gen Z and a lot of young Gen Ys. But the most important thing I think we got out of that call, the most important thing is that we needed to do something. And that something, well, I'll talk about that another time. But let me continue reading what you guys have. MAGA is loud and poor, according to Cynthia Verdell. Cynthia Verdell says Cuomo is a sexual predator and should go away from politics. Cuomo could be a junior level of Donald Trump, right? Assuming what the women are saying is true. And I tend to believe, women don't go out there most of the time and just create stories, right? Okay, Do You Lie says, I get it. So did the current Harris County Judge Hidalgo won, and she came out of nowhere. Exactly. And you know why she won again? The same thing that she did. Talking to the right people about the right things. Okay, Omar Fateh won her here in Minneapolis, a DSA candidate for mayor. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's see for the other chat what we've got. Para ver. Bear with me as I search. Anything that I need to read out. Paul Fleming said, let's be real. President Obama tried to fix the system, but Republicans blocked him at every step, not because the ideas were bad, but because they couldn't stand the idea of Democrats getting credit. That's exactly what they did with Obamacare. But, some of the fault went along with our neoliberal Democrats as well. I can give you the TikTok on that with regards to the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act, as well as not having the public option, but that's for another time. Welcome aboard May Wood from Long Beach and Joanna from Los Angeles, California. I'm just seeing a few of you. Mike Cisak from Missouri, Lee Grant from Montgomery County, I believe, and Eric Hayes from Kingwood, Atascocita. Thank you guys for all being here. Egberto, another one for the screen. You always monopolize my screen. Here we go for the screen. 20 women don't get together and say, hey, you know what would be really fun? Let's take down a powerful guy together. No, they don't. I mean, they don't. I mean, it's too risky. It is much too risky to do that. All right, I got another video for you. All right. Let's see if I got time. I got time for only one of two. Beto O'Rourke went on to State of the Union on CNN, and I love what he had to say about redistricting and what Democrats need to do and how Democrats need to behave. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Right now, Texas, the nation's second most populous state, has 13 House Democrats and 25 Republicans. President Trump and Governor Abbott want to make that even more lopsided. Joining me now, former Democratic Texas Congressman and 2020 presidential candidate Beto O'Rourke. Thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it. So the Texas legislature, run by Republicans, their special session begins tomorrow. Democrats say they're going to use whatever means necessary they can to block this redistricting effort, but Democrats are in the minority, as you know. Realistically, what are the Democratic options to block this?
First, just in case folks don't know what redistricting is, that's the process by which members of Congress choose their own voters. Typically, that happens after the passage of the decade, the new census. It is very rare to happen in the middle of the decade. Why are they doing this? Donald Trump's policies, whether it's the big, beautiful bill that's going to take nearly 2 million Texans off of Medicaid or transfer nearly $1 trillion of wealth to the richest 1% at the expense of working families. His policies are deeply unpopular. He doesn't want to face accountability from the voters, and he's worried about keeping his very slim majority in Congress. So he's trying to pick up 5 seats through this redistricting process in Texas. Now, to your question about how we fight back, there are a number of things that we can do. One, the Democratic state legislators can deny their Republican colleagues a quorum to be able to move forward on this.
We've seen this before with legislators leaving the state and that sort of thing.
Absolutely. And I think they at least have to try this. And all of us, wherever you live, have to get behind them, because if we fail to support them right now, it's not just going to hurt the people of Texas, it's going to hurt people all over this country. But there's more that we can do. Governor Gavin Newsom in California has talked about a redistricting in his state. I think it's time that we match fire with fire. I think Democrats in the past too often have been more concerned with being right than being in power. And we've seen that Republicans only care about being in power regardless of what is right.
So you support the Newsom effort because California right now has an independent commission that does districts in as fair a way as possible and nonpartisan as possible. You're saying Democrats should, even though you don't approve of it, Democrats should do it too.
We have to get serious. We have to be absolutely ruthless about getting back in power. So yes, in California, in Illinois, in New York, wherever we have the trifecta of power, we have to use that to its absolute extent. And then the last thing, this may end up biting Republicans in the ass. You have the possibility that they will disperse Republican voters to make up these 3 or 4 or 5 new congressional districts and put those districts in play. So in Texas, we've got to get out there and register and meet the voters who are going to decide the outcomes in these next elections if they're successful with this redistricting. Our group, Powered by People, is doing this right now on the ground. We can't wait for 2026. We got to do the work right now in 2025.
So House Democrats are exploring doing this in other blue states, New York, New Jersey, Minnesota, Washington. It's already done quite a bit in Illinois. And there's some examples of it, of Democrats taking advantage of it in Nevada. But you were in North Carolina this week and you told voters there that they need to end the process of gerrymandering. Doesn't it sound like you're saying that they should end the process in a Republican state or a Republican leaning state, but do it in a Democratic state? I mean, should there be like a consistent point of view here?
It's confusing, isn't it? You heard Democrats in 2024 often talk about saving democracy. People in America didn't understand what they were talking about because we really don't live in a democracy right now. When one person can spend nearly $300 million to elect their preferred candidate for president, that is not a democracy. When members of Congress can choose their own voters, that is not a democracy. When Texas makes it nearly impossible for millions to cast a ballot, that is not a democracy. So the first order of business is winning political power. And then, yes, Jake, we've got to get big money out of politics. We've got to get politicians out of the process of redistricting. We have to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. And we've got to make sure that we overturn decisions like Citizens United that equate corporations with people and money with speech. That will produce a real democracy. But until we are there, we have to use every lever of power that we have right now to our advantage to make sure that we're in office, because no one wants members of Congress choosing their own voters, but we have no ability to change that until we start winning some elections.
You say it sounds confusing, but others might say it's hypocritical, that you're saying this is a horrible thing and it's members of Congress choosing their voters instead of the other way around, and now Democrats need to embrace it.
You know, I think that Democrats have been so scared of being branded as hypocrites or coloring outside of the lines that it has absolutely paralyzed them in this struggle for power in America. You don't see the other side worrying about any of that at all. Donald Trump defying the Constitution, the rule of law, the courts, trying to dismantle our very democracy in front of our eyes right now where we sit. We have got to fight back. We cannot roll over. We cannot play dead. We cannot submit to them as Democrats for far too long have done. We've got to fight back with everything that we've got by every single means necessary. If we don't do that, Jake, we are going to lose this country, and the people that we serve, that we represent, that we want to fight for, they're going to be hurt even more than they are right now.
And Beto O'Rourke nails it, right? You have to fight fire with fire. And of course, you're going to have Jake said, but isn't it hypocritical that you go to North Carolina and try to tell them, do you have to stop gerrymandering? No, it's not. We want gerrymandering stopped, but if we can't stop it, we have to mitigate what has occurred. It is so. What is really hypocritical, Mr. Tapper, is that you wrote a book on the feebleness of Joe Biden and completely disregarding that Donald Trump is a crazy madman. That have you listened to any press conference? Listen to it today. The man is mentally ill. And I don't hear Jake Tapper writing a book about that. Donald Trump is mentally ill. Listen to the way he talks. Listen to him not being able to stay on subject. Listen to him being all over the place. That's sick. The man is mentally ill. And we don't see Jake Tapper saying anything about that. You know, you don't see that. March KJ says Jackass is a hotel, a big reason I don't watch or listen to corporate media. March, that's why I listen to it so you don't have to, sis. Okay? I listen to it so you don't have to. Cynthia Verdell says, I do not like Jake Tapper at all. He's trying to smear Biden and don't tell the truth. I mean, it's amazing, right? All the things that Donald Trump does to show that he's mentally incompetent. And they look at Joe Biden. Look, I am not a Joe Biden fanatic, I want to tell folks, right? But my God, Joe Biden is much more impressive, intelligent, and everything compared to a Donald Trump. Harry Denson from Missouri, my dear brother, says, Egberto, since Minority Leader of the House, Hakeem Jeffries, and whoops, it skipped up. Hakeem and Minority Leader of the Senate know better by not supporting candidate for Mayor Zoran Mandami ideologies. Why did the Democrats lose the House and the Senate in 2024? Exactly. We need to dump those two and get real progressive leading the Senate and leading the House. We don't need a house. The two guys most controlled by AIPAC. We don't need them there. We don't. We need people standing up for Americans, right? That's what we need. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, we are at 58 at the end of the program. If somebody wants to make one call, I can take a 30-second call. While I set up that 30-second call, I'll do my ask here. For those of you who are not yet paid subscribers, I would like to urge you to please consider becoming a paid subscriber of our program. And to do that, you simply have to go to politicsdoneright.com, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Again, that is politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. We cannot do this without you. And by the way, just as a matter of information, we make sure that we spread the word widely, consistently, continuously to get the message across. Ray Brackens, how you doing, Ray? 30 seconds, my dear brother. Talk to me.
Yeah, well, I appreciate Brother Beto O'Rourke. He's always trying to keep an ear to the community. I had a meeting with him some weeks ago, definitely trying to find out where he could be better if he ever was to get back in the race. And, I appreciate him for that. And finally, I'm going to end on this note. I'm tired of living in a society where, Ever since Obama came into power, it's always been liberty. When you're a Republican, it's liberty for me and not for thee. And we got to change that.
Thank you, my brother. Have a wonderful rest of your day, sir. All right, folks. Again, we got to close this baby down. It's 4:00. Please go ahead, and for those of you who have the wherewithal to do so, please consider becoming paid subscribers of Politics Done Right, or actually it is our newsletter, Egberto Off the Record, which Politics Done Right is a subset of. Please go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I'm going to put it in both chats, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. We make sure to get all on all platforms all over. And those of you who become paid subscribers, you get access to all 5 of my books and all access to all my subsequent books. I'm working on 3. Don't know, it's working hard on 3. But anyway, we'll get it done. Anyway, folks, I want to thank you all for being here. Love you all. Remember to go, if you want to write me directly, info@politicsdoneright.com, info@politicsdoneright.com. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willis. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willis. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.